camera always gets screwed up. But I do want to point out two things when this video starts. A, the TV audio, my TV audio is muted because I find it very annoying to listen to in the background all the time. The constant whooshing and swooshing noise is annoying. So the TV is muted. I want you to know that. It is just me talking and showing off things, which is generally how most of my videos go. So this is nothing new. If you're bored by the sound of my voice, I can't help you. Like, this isn't... Look at the video. And that brings me to my second point. The name of the video is spelled correctly. It is Dead by Dalight. I'm not spelling it daylight. Because whenever I do these videos, I always spell one word intentionally wrong. Every Dead by Daylight video. Seriously. It's a weird tradition. But we are going to be doing a killer tier list tonight. I do have a piece of paper. I'm not reading from the piece of paper. It literally just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 15 words on here. There's 4 letters. And there's 13 numbers. It's not like a script or anything. I'm gonna kill your friend just think. Now, to be honest, I want to mention this. I am a very good killer. I am a rank 18 killer. I don't play killer. I suck at playing killer. Why did that do that to me? I suck at playing killer. I don't play killer a lot. I'm not a fan of killer. I understand and respect a few things. I want to get this out of the way early. Killers have to camp, and killers have to tunnel. Because they have to have some form of a defensive option. There's 2 types of killers that I don't like. There's a form of camping. I don't like face camping when you just stand directly in front of the person on the hook. Because survivors do have the advantage, believe it or not. You have teamwork, you have the ability to communicate, you have mobility, you have stealth, you have the better perk assortment, to be honest, to really get you out of situations. Good survivors don't die. Like, there's 3 situations where you find yourself on a hook. A, you made a mistake and the killer didn't. B, you made a mistake, the killer made a mistake, but they were able to recover. Or C, the killer is just better than you, and there was no way you could do it. And there is a 4th caveat that I want to mention, which is another survivor made a mistake, and the killer capitalized on it, and either A, if there's someone like Leatherface, they got you as well, or B, more likely scenario is, in the case of somebody like Mike Myers, the other survivor may have made a mistake, but you paid the price. And that ultimately is on you and the killer. The killer, for example, an example on Mike Myers, he leveled up, and he was able to power up Evil Within to Evil Within 3 on another survivor, and then just turned and insta-downed you. So, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a situation where you had a choice there. But I'm not answering that phone, by the way. When it comes to killers, I do want to give a tier list. Now, this is all-encompassing. I'm going to talk a little bit about perks. I'm going to talk a little bit about add-ons. I am slightly biased towards Leatherface, and I am slightly biased against Spirit. And I want to make that known, because I have Leatherface in A tier, and I have Spirit in C tier. And I only do 4 levels of A tier. So you have A tier, which are your best 3 killers. They are the 3 killers that are the top tier. That is Shape, Cannibal, and Nurse. And the B tier, those are your good killers. Those are your balanced standard killers. And that is going to have the Hillbilly. That is going to have the Huntress. That is going to have the Trapper. And that is going to have the Clown. Your C tier have limitations. And your C tier are the killers that they are viable, but they require a lot more work. That is the Wraith. That is the Spirit. And that is the Hag. And the last level of killers I want to discuss are your D tier. They are the shit killers. That is Doctor, Nightmare, and Pig. And I do want to mention the fact that this isn't low tier, this isn't high tier. I may be a level 18 killer in killer rank. I play a lot higher than that. I literally just don't give a shit. Generally, I will get daily rituals, and it'll be things like this. With this, you know, and let's say something like the Trapper. I will message, step in 3 bear traps. I will message the other survivors and say, step into a bear trap, and I'll let you go. And I will get people that will just say, fuck you, no, I'm gonna win, and they all die. I will kill you. I will just straight up kill you all. And then I will get killers, and then I will get people that are like, yeah, sure, I'll step in the trap, so I will intentionally sabotage myself. If I actually played killer more often, I would be closer to a rank 12. Easily rank 12. Which is about where my survivor goes between 14 and 11. And I say that because depending on who I'm playing with, it hovers back and forth very rapidly. If I'm playing with some people, if I'm being overly altruistic, it can bounce up. If I'm being just more aggressive and gen rushing people and saying, I'm not saving you, I'm going to get these generators done first. I'm going to use you as a decoy, my survivor rank will go up. But specifically talking about killers, I do play at a higher level than this. So let's not judge that. Also note, I do not have the nurse as number 1. Nurse is A tier, she's not number 1. And I understand the nurse's value. I see the nurse's value, but you have to realize, my tier list is on console. The nurse is not the most powerful killer in the game on console. She's not. Nurse is not most powerful on console. On PC, she is. It's just like how on PC for paladins, flanks are not as powerful versus on console. So I just want to get that out the way. We are going to start from the bottom and work our way up, and let's talk about the dead last, which is Nightmare. Nightmare is the worst killer in the game, and that's pretty much undisputed. Everybody says that. He is a fun killer to play. He does have... Yeah, shut up. He does have these things, and I won't even play him. To be honest, if it gives me a challenge that plays him, I won't. You have to realize that he's just not good. So... First off, he is only effective if he pulls you into the dream world. That's drawback number 1. Now, he has pulled you into the dream world. What is the next drawback on the fact that he's pulled you into the dream world? Well, you're in the dream world, you can get out of it anytime you want. If you have self-care, if you are working on a generator, if you are sabotaging a hook, you can get off. You can get out of the dream world at any point in time. Literally, half of the cast can counter him. This is how easy it is to counter him. Is that Claudette and Jake can literally counter him as if it's nothing. Like, those two right off the bat can counter him. No effort needed. 2 characters in the game completely counter Freddy. Freddy is just bad at that aspect. Once he has you in the dream world, then he can actually do something to you. His personal perks also aren't very good if you're looking at it. Like, these are his personal perks. Blood Warden is his best perk because it enables you to basically, if you get shit lucky and you hook somebody, they can't exit for a whopping 30 seconds. And in that 30 seconds, you're basically giving the survivors enough time to group up, heal themselves, pull themselves out of the dream world, and then come get the survivor off the hook and just give you the bird. Remember Me is not good. It is one of the worst obsession-based perks. Each time you hit an obsession, you increase the opening time of the exit gate by 5 seconds, up to 20 seconds. That sounds great on paper. The problem is the obsession is not affected by this perk at all. So literally, this is an obsession-based perk that does not do anything to the obsession. It is like Dying Light, but the difference with Dying Light is effective because you want to kill the obsession for it to kick in. This does not benefit you at all. This benefits you where it basically makes them harder. And Quentin counters you completely on this. And then you have Fire Up, which is decent, but I mean, meh. There are better perk options. Freddy is just bad. He has no stealth, he has no tracking, he has no map control. He has a huge fucking reveal. La la, la la la, la la, la la la. They say difficulty hard, they fucking mean it. The next one that I want to talk about is the pig. She is the next worst killer, and the only reason why I'm mentioning the pig is the next worst killer is because of the fact that she is too easy to counter. The pig has good stealth. The pig has the ability to go stealthy. She gets 2 powers. She gets her bear trap, and she gets the ability to stealth around. The problem is Mike Myers outclasses her in stealth ability, because while the pig has no terror radius and she can just do an ambush attack, the disadvantage to the pig is that she can only leave that crouch by performing her ambush attack. So if she crouches, she's making a dedicated effort to crouch and kill you, which it does not perform an insta-down. And even though she has no terror radius, you can still kind of see her because she's a pig. Like literally, the advantage is that she can, like, crouch behind in loops. She can actually camp loops better than any other killer in the game with that power. The next thing is the reverse bear trap. There are 2 problems with the reverse bear trap. A, they are meant to slow the game down, but the problem is it's completely RGN. You can get shit lucky on your first one, on your first jigsaw trap and get out of it, or you can just get shit luck and never get out of it, and it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna run around and distract her. The other problem is the bear trap is kind of a disadvantage to a killer. See, the killer's job, on all of the other killers in the game, their job is very simple. They run around the map, they whack you to injure you, and then they want to grab you and put you on a hook. The pig leaves you alone and lets the bear trap do its thing, because you focus on getting the bear trap off your head. So it's not good. It completely counters your goal as a killer, which is to whack them and put them on hooks and get kills. She is all about slowing the game down. Now, the thing that really annoys me on the pig is the pig is outclassed for a second reason when it comes to her traps. She has to win a chase in order for this to happen. She has to have you on a hook, or she has to have you downed to put a trap on your head, which means she has to have already won a chase. The hag and the trapper, with their deployable traps, both have the advantage, an overwhelming advantage, because of the fact that their traps allow them to win chases, and their traps offer defensive purpose. Their traps, they can leave their traps around you once they've won the chase and make you pay. It allows them to camp remotely. The pig basically just slows the game down, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but her crouch ability is focused on speeding up the game. It's focused on quickly getting knockdowns, but then her bear traps are focused on slowing down the game. Her whole kit is counterintuitive. Now, when you look at her specific perks, surveillance is the worst perk in the game. Undisputed. Please don't run this perk. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. It's bad. First off, it only indicates the aura of a regressing generator to you. Not one that has been worked on. Like, literally a survivor just has to go over, work on a generator, and then walk away, and the aura is gone. Not only that, it only lasts for 16 seconds. And as you level this perk up, it does not increase the aura reading ability by time. It increases the amount of generators you can do, not the time. 16 seconds is not enough time with the amount. You can have up to 3 generators that you can see, but you can't do anything with that knowledge. So it's a problem. That perk is bad. Now, Hangman's Trick is decent because it basically counters Jake a little bit, but it doesn't really do much. And Make Your Choice is her best perk. Make Your Choice is decent. The disadvantage is the fact that, A, it does have a cooldown, so super altruistic survivors can actually counter this perk by forcing it onto cooldown. And the exposed status does not last as long as most other exposed statuses in the game. So all in all, Pig, in my opinion, Pig is only better than Freddy because Freddy just has nothing going in his favor. Whereas the Pig at least can play around one of her styles. She can focus around reverse bear traps and just uber slowing the game down, or she can focus on just uber speeding the game up with her crouch ability. But you're basically only using one of her 2 perks. She gets 2 abilities in-game, and you can't use both of them together. The next one is rather controversial. I have the Doctor as the next worst killer. He's the last one. He is not hard to play. That hard to play thing is bullshit. He's just not effective. See, what the Doctor does better than everybody is he is a low-key ruin. His kit is basically built around low-key ruin by annoying you on generators. I have a good time playing the Doctor. He's just not effective. People say, oh, well, you switch stances. He's one of the best trackers in the game because he can basically just shock and reveal anybody in the aura. The disadvantage to that is he has no way to capitalize on that reveal. He doesn't have good enough mobility. He doesn't have anything like that. And his add-ons are decent, but, I mean, the fact of the matter is, basically what he does is he makes it harder for you to hit skill checks, and he can reveal your position whenever he wants. That is about it. That's all that Madness really does for you. It makes your job much more difficult. But it's easier to overcome than the Hag. See, the disadvantage to Madness on him is that you overcome Madness by snapping out of it. And so you can kind of reduce that. Versus somebody like the Hag, you have to find the Hex Totem and get rid of the Hex Totem. It's not very effective. Overwhelming Presence is decent, but it's greatly countered by a couple of add-ons. For one thing, Overwhelming Presence is only effective against people that use items. So if you are bringing a map versus Deja Vu or Dark Sense or Detective's Hunch or anything like that, great, the map is gone. You can use a key, but see, that's not, who gives a shit. Medkit, but if you have self-care, who cares? Toolbox, but if you have Saboteur, who cares? Like, Overwhelming Presence is relatively easily countered. Not to mention Streetwise completely counters it. Monitor and Abuse is nice, because of the fact that it basically gives you a slight degree of stealth. It's just not good. It's just not. It's good for patrolling the map. And Overcharge is decent, but it's not anything overpowering. The problem with the Doctor is his kit is very basic, and he doesn't have a lot of buffs to him. I have him in the D tier over the C tier, because the next one that I have right above is the Hag, just a spoiler alert. I have him here because the Hag is just simply better than him when it comes to his ability to control the map. The Hag is better at map control, and that's why I have her better. Now we talk about the Hag. Literally, the Hag has one thing going for her, and that is Ruin. Ruin is absolutely crippling when it comes to generators. It forces you to do 2 things. Either be very good at skill checks, or find the totem and get rid of it. Another option altogether when you're playing the Hag is just to simply tire her out. See, the Hag's power is not good. Her perks are great, but her power is bad. She basically lays teleport traps, and you can instantly travel to that location if you run over a trap. This allows her to set up a very good defensive perimeter. Now, this is where the Trapper, in my opinion, has the advantage over her, is that while her traps are very good for zoning people out, they have no offensive utility. You have to teleport to that trap to get a benefit out of it. You cannot, under any circumstance, use a trap offensively. It is strictly a defensive measure, because it makes the survivor think. Like, if you lay it against a generator, is she going to teleport, and is she going to whack me? Is she going to teleport and pull me off the generator? It's a mind game, and mind games as a killer aren't good. That's what a survivor's forte is playing mind games with you. Not that. Ruin is quite possibly the best perk in the game for slowing the game down. And this is another reason why the Hag outclasses the Pig, is because Ruin slows the game down better than bear traps on everybody's head as the Hag. As the Pig. You could literally be a godlike Pig, have a bear trap on everybody's head, and everybody is scrambling, running around, trying to RNG the fucking trap off their head. And Ruin will still beat you. Now, to be honest, the Hag, outside of Ruin, does not have anything going for her. If you want to look at her other 2 perks, Devour Hope, it's not great. Basically, the more people that you hook the better of a chance that you have to actually kill someone by your own hand. The disadvantage is the fact that, again, this is counterintuitive to what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to be able to kill a survivor on a hook and get blood points. That's called sacrificing. That's the end of the game as a killer. And what Devour Hope does is it means, no, get them off a hook. It kind of makes it so that you don't camp, and that's what her kit is based around. She's one of the least campy killers in the game, because she leaves traps, and she can teleport back if need be, whack you, and keep doing that. It's just the disadvantage is, A, it's also countered by a fucking Hex Totem, which means if she's running Ruin and Devour Hope, and you find a Hex Totem, you can say bye-bye to anywhere from your entire loadout to half of your loadout. Your loadout as a killer is done if they find your Hex Totem as Hag. And then you look at the next one, which is the third seal. It's not great, that blindness effect. It really only affects aura reading things like keys, empathy, stuff like that. If you're a loner type of player, blindness is not going to affect you because it doesn't affect the map. It doesn't affect pallets, windows, anything like that. If it just like blinded you like a flashlight, that to me would make that a stronger perk. Ruin is the best thing. I can't put her in D tier because Ruin is the best perk in the game for slowing the game down. That is why she is here. They say that she's intermediate. She's actually relatively easy to play. You want to lay down traps in places where people are going to run over them. In fact, stopping in the middle of a chase and laying down traps is great, because of the fact that if survivors try and loop you, you can make them trigger a trap and instantly go to that spot and end the loop by whacking them. The disadvantage, and yes, I do call it whacking. I don't call hitting, injuring, downing. I call whacking. I'm a fucking soprano, goddammit, I whack people. The Hag really just excels at slowing the game down. And if you're able to counter her by finding the Hex Totem and just eliminating her entire kit, she's a useless killer. And that's the other reason why she's lower tier. Now we have the Wraith. I actually have the Wraith higher on the list than most people do. This is not because I get countered by the Wraith. In fact, I love Predator. Okay? I love watching the Predator movie. I can spot fucking Wraiths from a mile away. Here's why the Wraith has a drawback. So, he now gets a boost of movement speed when he comes out of his ding-dong. Ding-dong. I'm ringing a bell. Listen to me. I'm ringing a bell. Ooh, I'm scary. I'm coming to get you. I'm ringing a bell. That right there is his drawback. In order to do anything to you, he has to ring a goddamn bell and come out of his invisibility, which is basically saying, oh, I'm here. I'm giving you a head start. Run, bitch. He's the most flamboyant killer in the game, to be honest. Like, seriously. He is flamboyant as fuck. Because of the fact that basically he just goes, ding dong, I'm coming to get you. Oh, that tickles, you're running. I'll cut you. His kit is, again, counterproductive. He is faster while invisible, but in order to do anything, he has to come out of his invisibility, which slows him down. He's very good for chasing survivors and body blocking survivors while invisible, but in order to actually capitalize on the chase, he has to come out of his invisibility, which then means he has a terror radius, which then means he's no longer a stealth killer. He is a stealth hybrid killer. He actually has very good map control. You can move around, especially with add-ons and offerings and shit like that. You can move around the map fast as fuck, boy. It's just the drawback that you then have to go ding-dong and come out of your fucking invisibility in order to do anything that hampers his effectiveness, because you're basically giving the survivor the opportunity to run away. And because they increase the amount of time it takes to come out of cloak, he's not good. Then you look at his personal perks. Now, Shadowborn is one of my favorite perks, because of the fact that it widens the field of view. I like that. Remember, you are first person as a killer, and it's pretty effective to have that increased field of view. The rest of his perks to me aren't good. I'm not a fan of Bloodhound, and I'm not a fan of Predator. Predator is very effective in a chase, but to be honest, there are better perks at your disposal if you're trying to win chases. Something like Play With Your Food greatly outclasses that ability. He does have viability. He's not very strong. he's really only effective against stupid people. If basically my thing is this: if I go ding dong and I'm right behind you and you don't start running, I go, oh god, I'm playing against stupid killers. I'm going to dominate them. Like, I'm playing against stupid survivors. Like, that's all there is to it. He literally has the best audio, the best warning system in the game that's letting you know he's there. He has a better warning than a terror radius because you can hear the terror radius coming and you can kind of predict it. He has a better alert system than even la 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 la, because Freddy then brings you into the dream world, which you have time to deal with. So, like, that's countered relatively easily. And then you have, as an additional thing, the Huntress with her humming noise. You can deal with that. It's so easy. It's so difficult, though, to deal with those types of killers because of the fact that you kind of don't know where they're coming from. Ding Dong is right next to you. It's going, ding dong. It's like the worst, he's a Christmas killer. The last of the lower tier killers is going to be a surprising one, and that is the Spirit. The only reason the Spirit is here because even though she has really good fucking perks, she has the highest skill difficulty in the game. She plays like the nurse. God damn it. Note to self, don't drop your controller. She plays like the nurse, but she's 10 times harder than the nurse. And that's PC and console. And the nurse is actually pretty easy to use. It's simply a matter of just getting your timing right with her. The nurse, she has the best perks in the game. I am not taking the fucking invitation. I'm finishing the damn video. If you're watching this, sit and watch the video. It'll go faster that way, rather than you spamming and me having to sit here and chastise you in the chat. Bad kid. Ugh. Rancor is one of the best obsession perks in the game because it gives you a way to sort of make up for your own stupidity. If you are making a lot of mistakes as the Spirit and you are not able to kill people before they can finish generators, Rancor basically gives you a get out of jail free card and says you're taking one person with you. Now, if you're on the other side of the map from your obsession, and your obsession just finished the last generator, and then opened the exit gate and then left, this perk is screwed. You are screwed on this. But it is a good perk, because it basically gives you a get-out-of-jail-free card to making sure that somebody doesn't leave. Haunted Ground is a very good perk. It is actually a better perk to run on other killers, like the Hag, than it is to actually run on her, because of the fact that she is basically able to then one-shot a large majority of the cast. Spirit Fury... Nah. Nah. It really only affects you if you are stunned. And the way I play killer, I don't get stunned by pallets all that often. The most times I have ever been stunned by a pallet in one game is 3 times. So I get no use out of this ability. Like, plain and simple. No use. That being said, the problem is I like her cooldown system. I actually find myself using her power very often. The fact of the matter is it's just very hard to do something. First off, you only see scratch marks really when you're in that little shadow travel. You're trying to Koga around the map and fucking shadow step everywhere with your fucking infinite cooldown bar named Koga. I call her Koga for a reason. It's not being racist because she's Asian. I know that's where y'all are going with this. Don't fucking go there. Okay, I'm a soprano. I whack people. I don't fucking make racist jokes about chinks. Which I just did on YouTube, so I'm probably gonna go to hell. However, enough with me bullshitting. The problem is urban evasion is a complete counter to her perk, believe it or not. Get into a chase, bait the Wraith into activating her fucking power, then crouch walk away. You run for like 2 seconds, and then crouch walk around a corner, and she can't fucking find you. Because she can't see you, she only sees scratch marks. I just played a game as Spirit, and this is why I say I'm not a Spirit fan. She is the killer I am the worst on. So is that a reason why I have her lower? Yes. But to be honest, I'm not the only person that plays Dead by Daylight that says she is a hard killer to play. She is the hardest killer in the game to play. Because of the fact that her ability is countered by pressing L2. If you can counter an ability with one button press, it kind of makes it hard to be a viable character. Now, she does have the ability to kind of bounce around very quickly and win chases very quickly, like the nurse does. The difference is the nurse has the ability to go through walls and do that. The spirit doesn't. The spirit just moves faster and goes, She kind of, she's more scary because of her appearance and the fact that she goes, than anything else. Now we're moving on to the better killers, and I have the hillbilly as mid-tier. Yes, a lot of high-level killers are saying, you fucking suck, hillbilly's top tier. Hillbilly's not. Hillbilly has a very useful ability, but it's only useful, like the pig, if you're using one of the two reasons. So you have to look. You basically go really fast across the map, and you have an insta-down. But you can't really mix the two. The chances of you running across the map with a chainsaw revved, making a shit ton of fucking noise, and ending up on the other side of the map and whacking somebody and downing them are the same amount of chances as winning a game as Freddy Krueger with 4 sacrifices against tier 1 survivors. They are slim to none. You are not going to do that. You either use your ability, which, by the way, you can't cancel your ability. You can't cancel your chainsaw. You have to rev it to be effective. If it revs all the way, it activates instantly, so you have no control. So if you accidentally lose control of your revving, you are not going to be able to take effective use of your ability because you're going to be stupid. Basically, the only reason your chainsaw is viable in close range is to insta-down, which you can counter that by the survivor just moving slightly to the left or slightly to the right, because you don't have that turning radius, or for destroying a pallet much quicker. The disadvantage to the hillbilly, in my opinion, he's very easy to play, and that actually does hinder him, because he doesn't require a lot of skill to use, he doesn't require a lot of skill to master, which means he doesn't require a lot of skill to get away from. Someone like Mike Myers requires a fuck ton of skill to get away from. When Mike Myers is on you, he is on you like stink on skunk. When the hillbilly is on you, he is the skunk, and he is the stink, and he kind of just decides whether or not he's going to kill you. That was a racist analogy. You can actually get on me for that one. He does have good perks. Tinkering is another fantastic perk because it gives him a stealth option. So on top of map control, it gives him a stealth option. However, the disadvantage to tinkering is that it requires the survivor to do their job. And if you go up against stupid survivors that don't want to fucking work on generators and want to dilly-dally and be altruistic as fuck, tinkering is useless. Lightborn is good if you go up against high-tier players with flashlights. Lightborn is useless unless you're going up against a flashlight. It's mildly effective, even at that as well. And then you have Enduring, which is your recovery from stuns is increased by 50%, which is fantastic if you find yourself getting stunned by pallets. The disadvantage is, if you are revving your chainsaw, just run at the person that's about to drop the pallet. Two things are going to happen. A, the pallet's going to drop, and you're going to destroy it instantly with the chainsaw. Or B, you're going to hit the person before they drop the pallet, and so now they're downed, and you don't have to worry about the pallet. It's a win-win. The disadvantage to me that I really think on the hillbilly is that you're either using your chainsaw for mobility or for offense. And his offensive chainsaw is a lot harder to use than his mobility chainsaw. The next killer, again, controversial, I have the Trapper next. The Trapper is the best, in my opinion, of all of the killers when it comes to zoning. Whereas, if you look at your zoning type of killers, like the Hag and like the Pig, where they're very good with the deployables, as I call them, they're little map deployables around there. The Trapper is very effective because he lays traps in places where survivors don't often look when they're running. That's how a good Trapper plays. You lay them in between a pallet. If they want to run across the pallet and get the use out of the pallet, they have to step in the trap, which means they can't drop the pallet on them. The disadvantage is that if you're a smart killer or a smart survivor, I don't know why I keep calling them killers. If you're a smart survivor and you see the trap coming, you can just disable it. But to be fair, that doesn't really help you. He doesn't have to camp because he can just leave traps around a survivor or around a survivor on a hook, and then walk away and wait for somebody to come rescue them and step into a hook, and then just come back and pick them up and chuck them on a hook, and there's 2 down. He also has the advantage in mobility. He has very good movement speed. If you look at his personal perks, agitation is very good as a way of countering other survivors, like boil over and decisive strike, because you move faster. If you can move faster, you can put people on a hook. And it combos very well with unnerving presence, which increases your terror radius, and that means that survivors in your terror radius now have a bigger chance of fucking up. Unnerving presence, combined with agitation, combined with no one escapes death, and combined with ruin is incredibly effective. It makes skill checks harder, it makes insta-down status easier, and it terror radius, which decreases survivors' chances of completing things. It's an incredibly effective combo. It's just annoying as hell that the Trapper is forced to kind of play around stupidity of other people. Trapper is only effective if people fall into his traps. Other than that, he's just a high mobility killer that is able to go around the map quickly and whack people and make them make boo-boos sometimes. But the reason why I say he's better than Hillbilly is he's a bit easier to use than the Hillbilly, but still requires more skill than the Hillbilly. Because trap placement is the key on him. You can be an absolutely insane OP as fuck Trapper just by leaving your traps in places people don't look. Now we're in our top tier people, and the next person we're going to talk about is the Huntress. People think that the Huntress is overpowered because of the fact that she has a ranged game. Let's be honest. Your hatchets are not going to be effective at long range. You are not a sniper. You cannot chuck hatchets all the way across the map and think you can hit people. You are relatively slow when you are winding up and when you're throwing your hatchet, and if you cancel your hatchet, you are also slow. You also have a limited amount of them, and even though you have really good add-ons to this that allow you to basically just create one-shot insta-down hatchets, you can't bring many hatchets with you, and you can't restore them. So if you miss that hatchet, you are dead in the water. She does have an incredibly large reveal radius because of her lullaby, which means that she is at a disadvantage because she doesn't have stealth. She's incredibly balanced. Every power that she has to her advantage, she has range to her advantage, she has good tracking to her advantage, is countered by bad map control, bad stealth. So everything that she has going for her has a direct trade-off. Huntress Lullaby is basically a knockoff version of Ruin, considering the fact that basically it causes no skill check warnings. The difference is it plays exactly like Devour Hope because it requires you to hook people, and people keep getting off of the hook. If people are not getting off of hooks, Huntress Lullaby is useless. Territorial Imperative is also not very good because of the fact that unless you're on a basement build, the card is useless. Basically, anytime you go into someone goes into the basement, it reveals. The biggest drawback to the card is it has a cooldown on it, which is not good. Especially in super altruistic situations where you have survivors that are constantly unhooking each other, hiding in lockers, waiting for another person to get hooked, get out of the locker, run away up the hill, you down them, the person that was hiding in the locker downstairs gets the person that you hooked off the hook, you come back down to the basement, hook somebody else, and basically it's just a giant altruistic game of fucking musical hooks that doesn't work. And this perk is useless because this all happens in the 60-second cooldown. Beast of Prey is very good for a chase because of the fact that it enables you to win a chase, but the situation that it comes up in is hard to achieve. So her perks by themselves are not very good. Her power as a killer is strong. At close range, remember, she can just chuck an axe to injure you, and she doesn't have the wiping off her weapon animation after chucking a hatchet. So if you have good aim, she's very effective. This is what makes her balanced. She basically has a way to deal a lot of damage very quickly to survivors. The drawback is she doesn't have stealth. The drawback is she doesn't have any ability to move around the map very quickly without other people's perks. The next killer that we're going to talk about, and the last of my beer tier killers, is the Clown. First off, the Clown is the second fastest of the male killers in the game, and that is because of the fact that they are telling a giant joke on you. Clowns moving fast. This is funny. His power is incredibly powerful. It is, in my opinion, the most powerful of the 4 B-tier people that I named, because it enables him to counter a large number of people. It enables him to counter loops, because he can chuck his bottles and suppress an area very quickly. It enables him to have an option to run up and whack somebody and down them and get the advantage. He has very good add-ons and offerings that enable him to one-down people. Survivors look like this. Hit directly by the bottle, suffer from the exposed status effect. That is incredibly useful. That add-on right there is one of his best advantages that he has going for him, is the fact that he's just simply able to one-shot you if he hits you with his power. He has a large number of tonic bottles. They don't take that long to reload. They're easier to hit because they're an AoE. They are much easier to hit than a Huntress's hatchet, and that gives him more utility and as a killer. Where he has drawbacks is I'm not really a fan of his perks. Bamboozle is great because it enables him to be even faster. Chlorophobia is not really good. It's basically only effective against healing and not generators. So if you're trying to gen rush a clown, you kind of counter that perk pretty well. And Pop Goes the Weasel, I just don't even want to know. Like, every time you hook a survivor, the next generator you damage is regress 15% of its total progression. If you are just damaging a generator that's just started, you don't get that effect. If it's near completion, then that's much more effective, but then again, it's not very good. He has very good combo potential with other perks. He can use pretty much any perk that you want, as long as it's not utter garbage like surveillance. The fact of the matter is, the clown has a ranged kit that is easier to use than the Huntress, and it has more utility than the Huntress does. The Huntress is all about dealing damage, whereas the clown is more about setting you up. The clown sets you up for further mistakes. The Huntress can only take advantage of mistakes you are currently or about to make. The clown kind of lulls you into that. Now we're going to talk about the top 3 killers, and it's pretty easy. It's just a matter of finding out the order. Michael Myers comes in as the 3rd best killer in the game because he is the best stealth killer in the game, and he has some of the best perks. Dying Light is not great. Dying Light is pretty easy to counter. If the Obsession doesn't die, then the Obsession is fucked. His kit is also a bit counterintuitive if you think about it. Dying Light means that you want to kill the Obsession first, but play with your food and save the best for last are both perks that enable you to just simply wait. You want the Obsession to die last, if you think about it. Save the best for last is incredibly effective because of it enables you to attack much faster, and play with your food is incredibly effective because it increases your movement speed. So these are all things that are very effective. You can run these 2 perks in good combination with one another and move around the map quickly. He has no terror radius in stage 1. It doesn't take a lot for him to go up to stage 2. Then he gets a terror radius, but then he moves faster and attacks faster and has a bigger lunge range. And then if you're stupid enough to let him get to tier 3, you're dead if he's near you. Like, you're just dead. He is a harder killer to play as well. He is not able to go after multiple people at a time like the other 2 killers in A tier can, or like the Clown, Hillbilly, and Trapper can. They can go after multiple people at a time. He cannot. He has to focus one person. And a lot of people say that the shape is very good for tunneling and for camping, but to be honest, he's more mobile than you would expect. You kind of just pray at range and use that to get in close. Then when you're in close, you deal a lot of damage, and you force the survivors to decide. Do they want to focus on getting somebody off a hook or possibly being one-shotted? Michael Myers does have a limitation, in my opinion, is the fact you can only activate Evil Within 3 so much in one game. He would be the #1 killer in the game if he could basically just activate Evil Within 3 by stalking you an unlimited amount. You can only stalk somebody for a certain amount of time, which forces you to actually play around stalking multiple people. You can't just stalk one person. I have the Nurse at number 2. The Nurse is number 2. Now, the Nurse has very good personal perks. Nurse's Calling is fantastic because it affects dying and injured people. Thanatophobia is great because basically it enables you to counteract a lot of abilities like resilience, and that is very important. The nurse counters resilience hard. Like, big time. No Mither David King is fucked. Nurse's Calling and Thanatophobia counters his entire build. That is just a shit perks. Like, I'm not even gonna try it. That's just garbage. I can hear you breathing. Ooh. Nurse's Calling is better. She is very hard to deal with. She has a slower movement speed, and she has this fatigue effect when she's done teleporting. But the difference is, if you can get the timing on your teleports right, she can basically teleport to any survivor she wants, knock them down, and they are dead. She can injure them, she's stunned while they're running away, and then she can pursue them again. And she's very effective because of her ability to track people down. She doesn't have to have very good map control. She doesn't have to have very good tracking. Excuse me. She just has to blink around the map super effectively in order to knock people down and score easy victories. All that she takes that makes her so hard to use is the fact that you have to be able to time when she has that fatigue, her cooldown, so to speak. The other thing, too, is it also eliminates a lot of survivor safe zones. Walls. She teleports through walls, which means pallets, windows, walls are not effective. She can go vertical as well, so if she's in the basement, she can actually teleport through the basement up to the ground floor and surprise you up there. She doesn't have to camp because she can rapidly go back to where she was camping, so she has better map control than somebody like the Hag with an instant teleport. The only difference is the Hag's a lot easier to counter. The nurse is very, very aggressive, but she doesn't have any real way to slow the game down as well. She doesn't have any real game to one-shot you. And this is where I come in with the Cannibal as being the most effective killer in the game. He is easy to use, but he requires enough skill to be effective. Franklin's Demise completely counters if you bring a very valuable item into the game. Franklin's Demise kind of counters that. It forces you to go back and pick it up. If you've been hit, you're going to have to loop him, pick up your item, and then go away. If you don't have self-care, that means you have no way to heal yourself. And if you are trying to sabotage a generator or sabotage a hook or work on a generator with that purple toolbox, Franklin's Demise says, fuck you. It is also incredibly effective because it means that you basically, if you're running Franklin's Demise, whatever item you bring into the game is gone unless you're able to get off the hook and go back and get it. White Ward does not help you. This counters White Ward, which is quite possibly the best survivor offering that you can run, is White Ward. Franklin's Demise counters that. That is incredible. You counter one of the best survivor offerings in the game with a tier 1 ability. And it's easy to use. It works on a chainsaw and it works on your melee hits. Barbecue and Chili is incredibly effective. Not only does it give you a way to boost your blood points and level up faster in the blood web because you hook people, but it also gives you an ability to reveal. It basically gives the killer a UAV, so to speak of, as to where you are. If they can see you, they know you're not going to make the save. If they can't see you, well, then that means they need to camp. Knockout, believe it or not, is what I think is one of his weaker perks. It basically means that dying survivors are not revealed when they are in a certain area. Now, the disadvantage to Knockout to me is the fact that it basically counters empathy. It doesn't really do much else. You counter empathy, you counter White Ward, and you have a UAV effect. Where Leatherface really shines is when you look at what his power does. For one thing, he does not move as fast as Hillbilly does when Hillbilly is in his chainsaw, but you can use yours for ability using the momentum of your swinging sweeps. You can down multiple people at a time, which the Hillbilly can't do. He gets what? Cannibal can down an entire team. Altruistic motherfuckers that want to pull people off of hooks in a group don't work. He is the ultimate defensive killer. He is a better defensive killer than the Trapper, than the Hag, than the Pig. Because of the fact of the matter is, he's able to just simply one-shot anybody that wants to come into your range. His wind-up time on the chainsaw is faster than Hillbilly's. He can also control it. His only activates when you release the chainsaw button. Now, he also doesn't have a way to cancel that ability, but you can always just run into an object and just end it that way. He has the ability to chain multiple chainsaws by downing multiple survivors, then hitting an object, and then swinging around and hitting anybody that tries to heal them while you're doing that, if they're stupid enough to do that. He's able to one-shot you, which is incredibly important. Now, while he doesn't have very good mobility, while he doesn't have very good map control, what he excels at is, if you let him in close range, he's going to make you pay. He's able to counter a couple of very key things: White Ward, high-leveled items, and he's able to counter empathy. And these are great things. You can add add-ons to his chainsaw that make him even better, and I think that's what makes him the most well-rounded. You can increase the acceleration on your chainsaw, which is incredibly effective. You can decrease the repair speed of survivors that are injured by your chainsaw for 120 seconds, which is incredibly effective. Because if you're running a no-mither David King, that add-on right there just gives you the middle finger. He can just down you, leave you alone, let you recover on your own, and you can't do anything. You're on no-mither, so you can't heal yourself. You can't work on a generator because of the repair speed, so you're screwed. His kit is the most versatile to work with, but it requires the most skill. Now, if you have any thoughts, please let me know, and please don't shit on me for being a level 18 killer, considering the fact that I can literally just destroy you. I can actually count on one hand the number of times people have actually escaped from me without me letting them go. Spirit is a hard one for me to actually get people to get kills. I have 2 kills as Spirit. I only have 2 games on her, and they're both the Obsession. On the Huntress, a number of people have escaped. I've let 3 people go, but that's in 4 games. So it's basically 1 person a game escaped. It's usually from the hatch. I don't play Freddy. I just won't, because he's bad. I've only played 1 game on the Pig, and on the Pig, 2 people escaped, and 2 people died. The 2 people that died, 1 died on a hook, 1 died to a bear trap, because they thought they could run out. That's why I say she's not very effective. The Clown, no one has escaped me on Clown. No one. No one has escaped me on Cannibal. 4 people have escaped me on Michael Myers in 2 games, and that's mostly because I ended up having to camp a few people because I was just getting pissed off with this one person, and I just kept camping them. So I was willing to let people go as long as this person was dead. On the Doctor, I have, I think, about 6 to 8 games on the Doctor, and I have, I think, 3 people. I think it's 6 games on Doctor, and 3 people have escaped. And they were all in the same game. I had 1 bad game on him where I just wanted to get the shock level up. I didn't care about anything. I camped 1 person, I got 1 kill, and I just camped them. I'm like, the rest of y'all can go. Like, just leave. You're not. Let me get this 1 person. And they kept running and trying to get this person off the hook, and I wouldn't let it. The Hag, I only have 3 or 4 games on her. I've let, I think, about 4 or 5 people go. On Race, I don't have a lot of games on Race, but 2 people escaped. On Trapper, I've let a bunch of people go on Trapper, but the ones I didn't let go, I have about 10 games on Trapper. Only 4 people have escaped me. And then on the Hillbilly and the Nurse, no one has ever escaped against me as Nurse. And on Hillbilly, I don't like Hillbilly. I have very few games on him, but 6 people escaped me in 3 games. And 3 of them were all in the same game. Seeing as I keep getting spammed with fucking invitations, I'm going to now end the stream. Thank you so much for watching.